In this video, we'll be exploring the psychological impact of sports injury and how sports psychology intervention can help. We'll start by exploring how your emotions, behaviour and rehabilitation outcomes are linked. Everyone is different, and consequently everyone will experience their injury in a slightly different way. The model on screen now suggests that how an individual appraises their injury, their cognitive appraisal, is influenced by two variables: personal factors and situational factors. Personal factors include things such as your personality, age and previous experiences of injury. So, for example, you might interpret your injury differently if you've had a previous positive experience of coming back from the same injury. Situational factors include things like social influences, such as your coach or teammates' reaction to your injury, or the stage of the competitive year. For example, you might interpret an injury that occurs in the competitive season as more devastating than an injury that occurs in the off-season. The model suggests that how you appraise your injury dictates your psychological or emotional response to the injury. As we have discussed previously, a sports injury can lead to several emotional responses such as anger, frustration, fear and anxiety. The model further proposes that these emotional responses will affect your behaviour in relation to the injury, for example, whether or not you will adhere to your rehab programme. This therefore demonstrates that our psychological or emotional responses to injury are important, and therefore the better we are at coping with these emotions, the better our rehabilitation from injury will be. That leads us nicely onto looking at coping styles. When people are injured, they adopt different ways of coping, or what we call coping styles. 4 examples of coping styles that people adopt when they are injured are instrumental coping, negative emotion coping, distraction coping, and palliative coping. Instrumental coping, or as it's sometimes called problem-focused coping, is where you attempt to engage in activities such as finding out more about the injury or listening to the advice of a physiotherapist. Negative emotion coping, or as it's sometimes known, emotion-focused coping, is where you are preoccupied with the emotional consequences of being injured, such as feeling anxious or really worrying about the injury. Distraction or avoidance coping is where you think about or engage in other activities to avoid thinking about your injury. Finally, palliative coping is where you engage in self-help activities aimed at providing a soothing effect or reducing the unpleasantness of an injury, such as getting more sleep. Think about how you've coped with being injured. What coping styles have you used, and what impact do you think they've had? Share your thoughts about this in the discussion forum on the Hub. Unsurprisingly, adopting a more positive approach, such as using instrumental coping, is associated with more positive responses, such as better adherence to your rehab programme and to better recovery outcomes. Keeping positive is just one of the many benefits of using sports psychology strategies during your recovery from sports injury. Other benefits include increased adherence to your rehabilitation programme, increased motivation, enhanced pain management, reduced stress, anxiety and depression, and enhanced healing. It is therefore really worth your while to try some of the strategies suggested in the menu of options in the next section. And don't forget to let us know how you get on with these different strategies by posting in the forum. I look forward to seeing how you get on.